Okay, so today guys, we're in Barcelona for the 888 Live main event. We are kicking things off with some sightseeing today. There is a ton of poker to be played over the rest of the week. We're playing the €1,100 main event. We're also going to find time to play some cash games, and there is a live stream sit and go with some very special guests. We're bringing you guys along for the ride, so let's go. Good morning everybody. Sightseeing is out of the way and now it's time for the poker to commence. If you watched my last year's Barcelona vlog on the 888 channel, you know that I didn't play the main last year. Today we are playing the main. First things first, we are going to be doing some media stuff for a sit and go, and the sit and go is rather exciting because it's got some, as I alluded to yesterday, some rather interesting guests. It's very exciting and I think I am definitely involved. If I'm not, we'll probably cut this. But I think I definitely am involved, and that should be really fun. That's going to be going on for the duration of the afternoon. After that is finished, we will be playing in the 888 Live Barcelona main event, €1,100. Obviously getting flicked in because we did win a package, if you didn't know. When we were in London, we played the sit and go with the team. Obviously I bang off all these sit and goes. It's so easy. But Josh isn't here this time, so there's no free money. But it's going to be the likes of Vivi and Lucia and Ian from the team. So that'll be good. Going to be playing the main after that. This year we do get to play it. I'm not anticipating it going that well. Obviously it's a tournament, but one of these days, surely I'm going to cash one of these mains. I mean, we have cashed one particular main, the best main, but I would like to get a cash in one of the 888 events. Haven't managed that yet. So we are off to the casino now. Let's see how it goes. How's it going, guys? Quick update before we head into the sit and go. We have got some special influencers joining the game today, including Alexandra Botez. I'm a big fan myself, so looking forward to seeing how this pans out. I do win my fair share of these, actually, come to think of it. Trying to hold my title from London, which got me here in the first place. So let's go and see what everyone's up to. Just sat down for the sit and go. Look what we have on our right. Position on the fish. But unfortunately, we have Uber Genius Alexandra Botez on our left. I love that name, even though it's not true. It's going to be a tough game.
We've got all-ins from Nick Eastwood here and from Vivian Saliba.
It always comes.
It does it?
And Nick Eastwood is probably going to bust Vivi Saliba, which will be yet another career highlight for Nick.
All right, the three always.
I can't hear you.
All in against Saliba.
Three.
Botez?
Three.
What do you mean?
Lucky chips, come on. Three.
This is very unfortunate. I feel the power.
Show me a 3.
That's a 3, isn't it, dealer? You naughty boy. That's fine.
7.
No
3,
sevens,
3,
dealer.
7.
No sevens. No clubs. Actually, no, clubs are fine. I just couldn't see.
5, 4. There is some possibilities.
I don't want to see any possibilities on the turn. Dead.
Oh, okay. 4,
I tell you
3, 7.
That can
5,
be
4.
that can be considered a possibility.
Of course it
But
is.
there are some possibilities.
Dealer,
Yes.
the 10 of hearts,
3.
and not a sound.
On the screen.
It's so rigged.
Wow. Sent back to school.
Lucky chips, let's go.
Oh, Dealer, that's my 500.
You weren't wrong about the lucky chips, Jesus Christ.
Hey, how are you supposed to compete runners? How much?
540.
Can I have a discount?
You don't want to get all in with Vivian Saliba. You will often get
Thankfully
butchered.
this time, I'm not paying. I don't know what charity I'm paying for, so it doesn't hurt yet.
Oh, got ace queen again.
Time for some food, I think.
Look at this. Got a raise.
Wow,
All in.
this could be immediate revenge.
I have to do it.
Could be, but it's unlikely to happen.
I mean, I don't know what else to
Eastwood's
do.
basically pretty much drawing
I have
dead
like
because it's
five.
Eastwood.
Oh,
About to be like 4, apparently. You
I think the ace queen's going to
have a
win.
good hand?
Do you?
I'm going to
Obviously you do.
take
I
the
can't fold this one.
contrarian position. I think this is going to be Nick's first good beat. Of
I don't
his
see the
career.
aces or queens dead, so it's certainly possible.
Oh my god.
Just got 3 going to be left or what?
I'm gonna keep my cards.
I have a bad feeling.
Are we showing?
I'm not showing.
Oh wait, Jackmate's all in too.
You had a king.
You have a good hand.
So the percentages you can see on the screen, they take into account folded cards. So those are the
I can.
real-time chances of the players
I'm gonna keep
winning.
these, dealer. I'm gonna
As you
keep
can see,
You
Nick
got
is
it.
favourite,
I'm
so
gonna keep this.
I anticipate no problems.
Yes.
How do I get ace queen again? So sick.
You've been Let's see some clubs. Let's see some
You
clubs.
just want to see pure.
I'm rooting for Jackmate.
Let's see some clubs.
Who are you rooting for, chat?
We're going to try again. I'm going to try again.
Yeah. You're 0 for 1 when you film.
I don't feel great about this one. Dealer. We'll just keep it simple. Just ace immediately and not. And is that a king?
I'm seeing jacks.
Oh, there's clubs in the building! There's clubs in the
Wait,
Okay.
what?
One more club, dealer, please.
Dealer, 10 of clubs.
Yeah.
10 of clubs.
Just like.
I'm smelling clubs, you know.
Not over.
I can still win.
Not over.
There's lots of potential. There's possibilities, Jack. There's possibilities.
Full houses and
That's
another jack.
So what do you need?
I need a club.
And I need a pair on the board.
You know what to do, my son. Walter.
No club now.
Another
There's
6,
too many
please.
clubs out.
Walter, you know what to
Hang
do.
on.
This is juicy.
Because he's got the ace of clubs. So if there's another one, he's got the higher bluff.
6.
Jack understands.
Please,
Do it to him, dealer. Do it to him, dealer. Immediately.
Oh my god!
You're so lucky. You're so lucky.
Both of them out, I think.
Yes.
These would have her covered though.
No, she's eliminated both players. Eastwood out, Jackmate out.
So that's it for me, guys. Unfortunately, 2 lots of ace queen, couldn't get there. So I don't think there's much we could have done. We were playing for charity. I didn't actually know that before we got to the table. I'm not sure who I would have picked. Last year I picked the cats and I came fourth, and Josh put a beat on me. This time it's Vivi. But obviously whoever wins, it's great. Everyone's playing for a great cause. So no worries there. This evening we are playing the main event, and I am going to, I think, be vlogging, have my camera on the table and taking notes in my hands. Disclaimer, there will be many mistakes because I am not very good at tournament poker, but you never know. I'm feeling confident about this one. I'm rested. So yeah, we're going to take you guys along for the tournament, and hopefully we can make it to day 2. Let's go. So we are into the 888 Poker Live main event in Barcelona, feeling really excited to get something going. We open a few nice looking hands that amount to nothing before getting just the right holding to kickstart our tournament. I open undergun to 300 with the blind still at 100, and a nice chap called Nico 3-bets the hijack to 1,000. Pretty easy 4-bet for me when it folds around, so I make it 3,000 to go and Nico calls. The flop is Queen 10-9 Rainbow, which really isn't the board I was looking for. Nico is going to have all the sets and some flop straights, probably more often than I will. We're also insanely deep with it being the first level, so I decided to check this time. Nico bets 1,500, which seems really reasonable, and I think I only have one option, which is to call. The turn is a 9 of clubs, which is a really good card, making it less likely that Nico has some of his better hands that bet the flop, and it counterfeits Queen 10. I obviously check, and Nico checks back. The river is a nice juicy brick, the deuce of spades, and it's clearly time to get some value. I think this deep it would be pretty reasonable to play Queen Jack or King Queen like this in Nico's shoes, and I'm basically saying I have Ace Queen plus on this river, so I decide to go for a large bet, nearly pot sized. He takes some time before eventually folding and tells me he had Ace King, which would have been pretty speculative. Anyway, we are back above starting stack and looking to make some moves. Back up against Nico this hand as he opens under the gun +1 to 600, and I look down at Ace Queen of spades in the small blind. I 3-bet to 2,600 and he calls. The flop is 7-7 deuce with 1 spade, which seems pretty good for me overall. I bet 2,200 into 5,400 and Nico calls, which I expect a lot since he will have a chunk of pairs and overcards with backdoor flush draw on this board that can't really fold. Maybe for that reason a bit of a larger bet would have been better, but never mind. The turn is the Jack of clubs and I think I need to start slowing this down, so I check and Nico bets 2,800. I do like the sizing because hands like mine are pretty indifferent here, but I decided to just go ahead and fold this time, which turned out to be a good decision because Nico turned top boat with jacks. What a life. We crumble back down to 26.5k and it's not long before we are back battling our nemesis once again. I won a few small pots, putting me back up to 33k for this next hand at 100, 200, 200, and an undergun recreational opens it up to 800. Nico calls on the cutoff, the button calls too, and I look down at queens in the big blind. Obviously we need to raise and a pretty chunky sizing seems best with a recreational and 2 callers involved. I make it 4,600, which I think is probably okay, but maybe still a bit small, which seems to be confirmed as our under the gun friend and Nico both come along for the flop, which is Jack 5-4 with 2 diamonds. I spent a while thinking about this flop because my priority is to get this in as soon as I can. I have about 27k back and there's 15k in the pot, and I go back and forth on betting and checking. Betting is obviously good because I get lots of value from worse hands and avoid the dreaded scenario of both players checking back, but checking to shove over a bet is also very appealing as it does the best job of getting all the money in quickly. I also think the recreational may overstab, and Nico did bet that ace king in position before on queen 10-9, so I decided to go for option B. I check, under the gun checks, but thankfully Nico does reach for chips and bets 5,500. I mulled over a small raise for a brief moment, but I do think that shove is clearly the best play here, so that's what I do.
All in.
The recreational folds, but Nico absolutely snaps me off, which I don't love, so I am somewhat relieved to see him show ace jack of diamonds for top pair in the nut flush draw. Obviously, we still need to fade, but when we get called that quickly, I think we're up against a lot of sets, so I'll take it. The turn is clean in the form of the 7 of spades, but unfortunately the river is a devastating 8 of diamonds, and we are sent to the rail just before the first break. I'm not sure about my play here, but at least it seems somewhat reasonable, unlike this river card. GG.
Nothing I can think about.
Yeah, of course. There's nothing you can do. It's fine.
Ace king, I can.
Yeah, ace fold ace king. Well, you have to.
Yeah.
You can get it in pre-flop and then I can win. But
That's not much.
all right, good game, everybody. Well, that is it, guys. Already. GG. Didn't even last 3 levels, unfortunately. I think I played okay. There's a couple of questionable spots. Obviously, you'd have seen them and I would have already spoken about them. The Queen's Hand, it's an interesting one. I'm gonna talk to one of the 888 pros when they're off on the dinner break about it. I don't think it matters what I do, it's gonna go in, but it'd be interesting to see what he would have done, so we'll do that as well. Yes, unfortunately, it's over. Didn't last as long as obviously we would have liked to, but I don't think I played too badly. I think it was mostly, on the whole, a reasonable performance. Yeah, what can you do? In other news, guys, swings and roundabouts, because just before we played the main, we were told that we will be going this year again to Las Vegas to play the main event. Obviously, that is super exciting. I have got a min cash title to defend, which I will be taking very seriously. So that'll be from July 3rd to 10th, and obviously a little bit longer if we do well. I'm looking for that min cash, obviously, and who knows, maybe some more. Anyway, I'm gonna go and cry in a corner, and yeah, I'll be back later on. Might play some cash. We'll see how it goes. Okay, guys, special treat. We have got Ali Mantavani. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, and you?
I'm very good. Well, I'm out of the tournament. I am getting another bullet, guys.
Let's
so
go.
Stay tuned. Yeah. But before we did that, I just wanted to go over my bust hand, because you know how I feel about making mistakes. I don't know if this is a mistake or whether Ali's going to want to bet the flop or not. We're going to have a quick look before we get started again. Thanks for coming on and doing this with me, man.
No problem, man.
And the hand is very, very good, by the way. Very, very good. Like monk-like meditation, the whole thing, and actually knows what he's doing. So anyway, there's an under the gun open. We're at 100, 200, 200.
Okay.
There's an undergun open to 800 from like a bit of like a recreational.
Okay.
Cut-off calls, button calls. I have queens in the big blind.
Okay.
So how much would you make it?
I would probably go to 5,600, something
Okay.
like that.
So-
I would go big. I think that the guy that opened, if he's a recreational and splashy, he is basically inelastic to sizing.
Yeah, sure.
But you need to do a sizing that when he calls, it's not a good price for the other guys to tag along.
Yeah,
so
okay,
I think
makes
that
sense.
I want to make the most of my hand, because like let's say you do like 3,500 or 4K. I think that when he calls, the guy's gonna say, oh, it's 32 more. The pot already has like 10K. Like, yeah, I'm gonna flick it in. You know?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm at 4,600.
Okay,
Bit
yeah,
small.
that's good.
It's
I mean,
okay?
it's on the smaller side. I would do at least 5K, but I think it's worth it.
Okay.
Still, yeah.
Okay, 4,600. It goes call, fold.
Yeah,
So
that's exactly what I didn't want to happen.
I know, yeah. And it did happen like that. And I was thinking, as soon as I did it, I was like, I probably should have made this bigger, but obviously I'm a bit new to live tournaments, so I was like, okay. Yeah, the flop is Jack 5-4. There's about 15, just over 15 in the middle, and I have 27 back.
Okay.
And
Rainbow?
Jack 5-4, 2 diamonds.
Okay. You have the
And-
Queen of Diamonds?
Yeah, I have the Queen of Diamonds.
Okay.
And I have option.
Okay. I think when you check in this situation in live, it's going to check through a lot. They're not going to stab their pocket 7s or 8s, even though like they are hands that need protection. So I don't think you make the most of your hand by checking. The first guy is probably going to have ace king.
Yeah.
And he's not folding ace king to the first bet.
Yeah.
They don't 4-bet his hands like versus big squeezes. I think they mostly flat them.
Yeah.
So I think that when you bet, you get protection from ace king, and you still get calls from like 7s through 10s
Yeah, this is
that
true.
they would check behind as well.
Yeah.
And I think that at this point, this is a 2-street hand. And like a jack is never folding, I don't think, you know? Yeah, I think that starting with a bet is probably the best play. I would go like 1/3-ish. Like, I think the GTO sizing would be like 20%,
Yeah.
but I think that they're going to be quite inelastic, and you want to make the SPR on the turn enticing for them to call with like, I wouldn't be surprised if they are super splashy to call you with like 10s or 9s.
Yeah, that makes sense. I did decide to check.
Okay.
I do a lot of checking out, but I think protection is more important than my general strategy is to check out position. But in the 3-bet pot this bloated with the SPR, I guess I just want to bet and protect.
Yeah, I think so. I think that the ranges are going to be pretty faced up. I mean, you're never against kings or aces, but I think that when you do check, they're not going to stab like pairs for protection, and they're not going to stab like king queen, which is a disaster when they don't. You know. Like,
yeah, sure, yeah, you're right. Anyway, I do check the recreational checks, which I was disappointed with. I covered him a little, and then I'm covered by the cutoff who bets 5,500.
Okay.
And I have 27K.
I would call. Like
Call.
I always call mid sandwich multi-way. I think that not closing the action is quite brutal in this scenario, because basically when you jam the first guy is still gonna have 4s and 5s, maybe jacks, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that you can check call. You're getting stacks in against the jack anyway on the turn. If the guy flatted like king jack suited ace jack, I think that if you call and the first guy squeezes, you can get out of the way probably.
Yeah, I did shove.
And the other guy had 5s.
No, he fold and then he calls ace jack of diamonds, and I don't hold.
Okay. I mean, you got the best of it.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, there was a flush draw. I think actually jamming is better.
You think it's good?
I think jamming is better. Yeah. I mean, I think they're gonna stab call with like even hands like ace 10 of diamonds. So yeah.
Okay. I jammed, I lost.
Unlucky.
But we have another bullet.
Okay.
How many chips do you have?
I have 47.
Okay. And you're the best to ever do it, so you'll be fine.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks a lot, man. Good luck.
Good luck.
Okay, guys, the developments are this. We're so bad at tournaments that we don't have enough footage for the vlog. Therefore, I'm costing them another €1,000 so that we can actually make a vlog out of it. So we're off to the desk to register again. Bullet 2, let's go. So we're back in the mix in the main event, but unfortunately we only have 50 big blinds. The 300 big blind starting stack I had for my first bullet is certainly more my comfort zone, but we have to make what we can of it. I bleed down to 25k from the 30k starting stack before picking up ace jack of diamonds in early position. I open to 1700 at the odd looking level of 300, 700, 700, and both the blinds call. The flop is king 10-7 with 2 spades, and when both players check, I decide to go for a bet. Definitely optional, but I think it's probably fine. The small blind calls and the big blind folds. The turn is the 7 of diamonds, and when the small blind checks again, I decide to check it back, entering into showdown mode. I can certainly beat some draws, and betting seems to make very little sense, so we're off to a river, which is the 4 of clubs. I definitely consider calling a bet here, given that everything bricked, and I actually think I win less often when they check, so I'm a little disappointed to see them do exactly that. We obviously check back and lose to the old 4-3 of spades ball. Unideal, and we're already struggling on our second bullet. After shoving pocket 8s over an open and a call, I'm back up to 24k and look down at ace queen offsuit. I open again to 1700, and this time the button calls before my friend with 4-3 suited from the last hand comes along in the big blind. The flop is king 5-4 rainbow, and after the big blind checks, I elect to bet. Again, super optional, but probably fine. No idea. They both call, making it look even worse than it may already be, but we are rescued in the form of the ace of diamonds on the turn, bringing in a backdoor flush draw. The big blind checks to me again, and this time I bet 4100. We could go for something a bit more geometric here, but this seems fine on a card that's quite good for me and relatively bad for my opponents. The button folds, but the big blind comes along again, so we are looking for a clean river this time, but it's about as filthy as it gets in the form of the 5 of diamonds. The big blind doesn't check straight away, so I have a feeling what's coming, and sure enough, he pops me in for my last 16k. Grim. My instinct is to fold, but it definitely merits some thought, so we mull it over.
You literally can't even have anything to be bluffing with. How can you even be bluffing? 6-7, you kind of have to fold the turn. 6-7 of spades or something.
I eventually decide that it's pretty hard to call twice and then bluff this river, apart from something speculative like 7-6, which should probably fold the turn. Not that necessarily means much. I reluctantly let it go, and then we hear the dreaded words, bluff. My opponent naturally tables 7-3 offsuit, and we are down to our last 16k. My timing and instincts have been really off for a while now, and it's super annoying to see it happening again here, but the fold still seems reasonable watching this back. It obviously feels less reasonable when the whopper turns over 7-3 offsuit, but I need to sleep at night, so yeah. A few hands later, we're dealt king queen of spades on the button. I open up to 1700 at 400, 800. I reckon the small blind calls and the big blind calls as well. The flop is king 4-4 rainbow, and when it checks to me, I bet small, 1500 into 6200. Just the small blind calls, and the turn is the 3 of diamonds. When they check, I should probably bet, but I think they just fold a lot, so checking has a good amount of merit. I'd give the edge to betting, but I do check this time, and the river is the 8 of diamonds, bringing in a backdoor flush. Probably why I should have just bet the turn, but when they lead out for 4,000, I just snap it off and beat an optimistic pocket 9s. I'd definitely have shoved the river if the backdoor flush draw didn't complete, but at least we win a small one, and we're back above 20k. A very fun one here is I'm dealt 7-2 offsuit on the big blind and the small blind limps. We obviously check, and the flop is ace king 7 with 2 spades, and the small blind bets 1,000. With a pair I'm not folding yet, so I flick it in, and the turn is the 5 of clubs. Getting a little bit dicey now as the small blind bets again, this time 3,500 into 4,400, and we can probably let this go here, but I was feeling particularly sticky. I do think that people overbluff these turns generally with like jack 10 off and queen jack off, etc. So I think a call is fine. They're basically saying they have a strong ace-x after limping the small blind, so I'm very suspicious here. I do also block some strong 2 pairs that would take this line. The river is a 9 of spades, and now I expect all those hands to follow through. He is taking an age, so I have plenty of time to consider or not whether to make an obscene hero call if he goes for it. I was about 50-50 at the time, and then they finally decide to check, and I think I win just enough now to show it down. I do beat the queen jack off with a spade that gives up, which I think should probably follow through, and then I could have heroed it off and put 7-2 offsuit in my thumbnail, but alas, we have to make do with the small pot. Our table is broken, and in one of my first hands at my new table, I defend 8-7 off versus an early position min raise. The flop is decent, 9-8-4 with 2 diamonds, and I check call versus a half pot size bet here. Not much to say. The turn pairs the 4 and I check again. I will have a good amount of 4x here, but this is a good card for them overall, and I do expect a lot of follow throughs from jack 10 and queen jack, along with the strong overpairs. They do go for the check back though, and the river isn't the best, the jack of clubs. Obviously check again, and this time they bet 6,500 into 8,800, which seems pretty reasonable. I don't expect to see many overpairs check back the turn here, and I do expect some of those jack x straight draws to bet turn again, as I said. Ace jack is possible, but may also check back the flop a good amount, but the problem here is that there's just not many bluffs. King 10 would make sense, but I think they
showdown under pairs, and then we're relying on them bluffing ace high, which isn't ideal. Anyway, I'm a massive station, so I pay it off and get shown the queen jack off, which I think makes my call really bad. Sad times, as we're now down to about 17k, and the blinds are up to 500, 1000, 1000. I post my big blind and my big blind ante the following orbit, and we get an open from middle position to 2400, and a call from the cutoff. An ideal spot to be looking down at ace queen off, I'd say, so we send our last 15k into the middle and hope for the best. We see a reshove from the initial raiser, which can't be good news, and it isn't, as they turn over kings. The board is obviously full of total bricks, and it's GG again in the €1,100 main event.
Good game. Good luck, everyone. Okay, guys, we have another very sad and very tired bust out. Didn't really get anything going. Obviously, 50 big blinds, not remotely my comfort zone, but tried my best. There's a few spicy hands. The 7 deuce, I was hoping he might triple because I had a feeling that was going to be good. But obviously the big spot was probably, there's a couple, but the big spot when I folded the ace queen on the river to that donkey with 7-3 off. Never thought he'd have that in his range. I was like, maybe you could be bluffing like 7-6 of spades. It was so hard to have bluffs. I don't know, whatever. And then the 8-7 station against like a position raiser on the Jack River. I'm not sure about that one either. You'll have heard all my thoughts, but these are my closing thoughts for the day. This game is shit. But yeah, great experience to be playing, obviously, and super excited to be going to the main event again this year to vlog. I'm going to need to probably play a little bit better than this, and definitely run a bit better. Ace Queen, no good for me today. Obviously all in at the end against kings, and then earlier in the sit and go, no good either. So yeah, just one of those days really. Didn't play amazingly, didn't run very well at all, barely hit a flop. So yeah, that's just how it goes. 2 bullets in the bin, and we're going to move into day 3. But yeah, that's it for the main event as far as I'm aware. So yeah, all the best, and I'm going to go get some sleep, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Morning, everybody. We are heading in for day 3, but day 2 of poker. Unfortunately, yesterday didn't go very well. I have a feeling that I don't know yet for sure, but I have a feeling it might have been my fault. I don't know if I played great. Obviously I didn't run well, but you know, it is what it is. I think now that I've had a rest and woken up and now I've realised I'm going to Vegas again. I'm going to be playing the main. It's so exciting to do that. Like, that was the best experience maybe of my life. So to be able to do that again, I just can't complain. But I am conscious that I don't believe that I'm playing the best. Well, I know that I'm not playing the best tournament poker in the world. The tables were so soft as well, and it's just so annoying to not get anything going. But I don't think I played horrendously, but there was a few spots where I am stationing. Unfortunately, I stationed in all the spots that I shouldn't have done, and I think the ace queen hand I just have to fold, but it's like, how am I supposed to know the guy's got 7-3 off? Anyway, I think I need to knuckle down and talk to my coach, talk to Jared, and just say, look, main event coming up. I just don't feel like I'm playing that well, specifically when I buy him for like 50 bigs. It's just like, I really don't know what I'm doing. I find it super hard to count the pot when there's an ante in there as well. I don't know why. It's like lots of multi-way. It might just be variance, but I feel like I'm just not quite there. So we're gonna do some work on that and see how it goes. Today we have got some media stuff to do, then a lunch, and then I'm hopefully gonna get on commentary and play some cash. Those are the goals for the day. I just think it's time, with all these like amazing opportunities I'm getting, it's just time to maybe start thinking. I know, I didn't think this day would come. It's maybe time to start thinking about learning how to play tournaments. And I never thought I'd say that, but I just hate just sitting there not knowing what the fuck I'm doing, like in these spots. It's just really pissing me off. So I would rather learn tournaments than have that feeling when I sit down in $1,000 tournament, €1,000 tournament, I'm just like, I don't know what to do. So that's the idea. I'm gonna talk to Jared, see if he'll free roll me some more coaching. Desperate times, see if I can at least be a little bit happy with my performance, or at least know what I'm doing in the main event. Right, gonna be at the casino shortly, so catch up with you guys in a bit. How we doing, guys? Just had some lunch. It was excellent, although I did struggle through the starter, not good at fish. We are here at the start of day 2 for the 888Live main event in Barcelona. We're not involved because we dusted off 2 buy-ins yesterday, as you'll be fully aware. Pretty much the whole team's in it except me, obviously. Got a few people in the mix. My friend Barry, who some of you may know, he's got like 3 times average, so that's a good sweat, and we got 10% of that, so it's better than having 100% of myself, really. Plan for the rest of the day has changed. We are going to be on comms, and then we are going to flick in the mystery bounty. It's an €150 mystery bounty. I think it's a 1-day event, and I just fancy it, so we're going to do that after getting on comms, and we're going to blog it. So we'll bring you guys along for the ride. Hopefully we can get a little bit more of a spend than last time, so let's go.
In the middle of a 73,000 chip pot, and neither player has a pair.
I would open because it's king 10 suited, but you know,
Off 16 bigs you'd open.
I'd open off 18 bigs. I mean, I just don't think I'd like, similar to this ace jack suited, I just don't see cards that pretty too often. So
you get excited.
I get very excited. And
Chips are going in.
I find it very difficult.
Maybe
not
that's
to
part of your
open.
issue. Maybe you don't fold enough.
I definitely don't fold enough. I definitely don't fold enough. I just love to call the river. It's just so enjoyable. I think Lechner might want to just calm. Oh dear, this is brutal.
Amazing for Maru.
Yeah, you say brutal.
Yep.
Maru's getting there. Brutal for who? Brutal, not brutal for me.
I mean,
thank you very much.
Jackson the cutoff, and you're not.
It's six-handed. This is just come on.
It's a cooler.
Yeah, absolute cooler.
And
This is absolutely typical of Jacks.
yeah.
It's just typical, isn't it? They sit there going, yeah, look how strong I am six-handed. Yeah, I'm still beaten.
Not over yet, guys.
Listen, you know what? When Rambo was in the forest and all those marshals were around him, we thought it was over. They thought it was over then, but it wasn't, okay? Rambo finds a way out.
What did he do with his pocket jacks, Rambo?
Flop a jack? No.
I still have faith. Rambo gets out.
I like the queens.
Rambo gets out.
I'm going to take the underdog. I think the queens are going to win.
No flush.
Rambo versus the world. Oh, it's Rambo! It's Rambo!
Watch this.
It's Rambo!
He's not Rambo.
He's Rambo!
That is so sick. It really doesn't get. This game doesn't really get more brutal than this.
Oh! Expect the average to call it.
Pekka's got ace queen.
This is all in for sure.
Oh god.
Blind on blind. This is a cooler ace six versus ace queen, and Pekka in great shape to double up.
What a spot.
Bertoli not at risk, but this would put Bertoli as a short stack. Pot has got 1.2 million in it. So right after we see Lechner make a great fold, we see an all in between Bertoli and Pekka.
So far, only a 6 knocks Pekka out of this tournament.
Oh, and a 6 in the window. Not
Two
one, but
sixes.
2. And Bertoli with trip 6s and Pekka all but out. Just 2% equity now. Needs running cards, running queens, or running straight cards. Otherwise, it's over for Pekka. And it is indeed over.
Yeah, that's a really rough one. It's you know, when you fold the king 10 suited under the gun, this is the kind of spot that you're thinking, this is what I'm waiting for.
This is what I'm waiting for, yeah.
And then it happens and you just get dusted and it's over.
Brutalized.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So we decide to flick in the mystery bounty, and it turns out it's a shootout. We have 20 tables, and one player from each table will advance to the mystery bounty phase and the final 2 tables. Not something I've played before, but it sounds like fun, and we kick things off with 10s in the cutoff. We open to 700 at 100, 300, and the big blind defends. The flop is ace, 8, 6, and the action goes check, check, bringing the ace of diamonds on the turn. When they check again, I decide to go for some value with a bet of 600, which is probably a little small, but fine, and they call. The river's the 5 of spades, which is pretty much a brick, and the big blind decides to donk for 2200. This doesn't really make much sense apart from pocket 5, so I quickly flick it in and they muck, giving us a decent start. We are card dead for several levels with nothing interesting happening, and I am quite far off the chip lead of the table. I open queens on the hijack 5-handed to 1200 at 300, 600, and the button calls. The flop is king 6-5 all spades, and I go for a little 1 big blind bet, but get raised up to 1500. I have an easy call, which I do, and the turn is a complete brick, the deuce of hearts. I check, and this time they go all in for their remaining 8300 into 6300. I think this is probably just a fold, but I get caught up in the shootout format thinking I need chips, and eventually end up calling, thinking I should at least have some equity to double up and challenge the leader. Unfortunately, we are punished in the worst manner possible as my opponent has flopped the nuts with ace 9 of spades, and I am just dead. Not my finest hour in the slightest, and it has been a frustrating tournament to say the least, but there's still no need to compound that with errors if we can help it. We keep ourselves alive with some pretty standard shoves before the button opens 4-handed, and I 3-bet shove my a7 offsuit on the big blind as the short stack. We get snippety snapped by the 10s, and again there's no dice as the board runs out clean, and we have another quite weak exit to moan about.
Okay guys, end of day 3. We played the mystery bounty, it went badly. I think I made some pretty bad errors. The queen's hand seems pretty bad, I imagine. Well, seeing the nuts is when I'm dead is like, okay, it seems pretty bad, right? But I think, like I said this morning, I don't like this. I don't like this feeling of having all these opportunities and not taking them and not playing well, it feels like. Or at least not knowing if I'm played well or not. And then I ask people afterwards, and I'm like, is it okay or not? And I don't like that. So I think I've spoken to Jared already. And I think I'm going to take it a little bit more seriously. I do like playing the live events, and I do get to go to a lot of them, so let's take it seriously. We're going to try one more time. Before the main, we're going to sort out this terrible mess that is my tournament game. So yeah, I'm going to go to bed, get some sleep. See you guys tomorrow. How's everyone doing? Last day of poker in Barcelona. I want to play one more tournament, guys. On the topic of trying to get myself prepared for the main, we're going to play the big shot. It looks like a little bit of a turbo. It's a one-day event. I just wanted to get a little bit more experience in before we head over to Vegas for the main. It's only in a month. So we're gonna go in and do that now. We're gonna vlog it. I know so far we haven't played very well and we haven't run very well, but hopefully get some exciting spots in this. And yeah, that'll be the end of the weekend. So one more try, let's do this. So we're into the final chance of the weekend, the 330 big shot. Can we at least get one sweat going? We have 20k chips and we're starting at 100, 100 with 200 big blinds, but the clock is 25 minutes, so it will be quite a fast format, I imagine. It's good news to start as we look down at Kings early on. Initial impressions are that this may be the softest live tournament I have ever seen in my life, with many of the locals showing up to donate their euros. I open the hijack to 400 and we predictably get 3 callers, and even more predictably see an ace-high flop of ace-queen-9 with all clubs. The silver lining is that we do have the king of clubs for the nut flush draw, but I'm not looking to bet 4-way. It checks through and the turn pairs the board with a 9 of spades. We all check to the cutoff, who decides to bet this time for 1k, and both the other players call. I don't think we have an option here but to just call the 1k, but I'm definitely concerned about the paired board going into the river, which is a dead 5 of spades. This time the big blind leads for whatever reason, we just fold as to the others and they show a 9. Never mind, still plenty of time to get going in this one. Already starting to feel short stacked with 16k at the 100, 300, 300 level, short stacked being anything below 100 big blinds for me, by the way. But before I can spend any more time moaning about it, we are dealt the beautiful looking pocket aces before the under the gun player makes them look even prettier by opening to 700. I 3-bet in the low jack to 2100 and they call. The flop is not bad at all, king 3 deuce rainbow, and after they check I bet 1700. They call, which is great, and the turn is the 8 of spades. 2e for a geometric sizing here is looking pretty good, so I bet 3300 into 7300 and they pretty quickly call. There's very few rivers that I won't be following through on for value here, but the ace of diamonds is a little bit overkill for my liking. It seems likely my opponent has a king here and this may mean I lose my customer, but then I remember I'm playing the 330 big shot in Spain against a bunch of total belugas. I shove it in and get absolutely fist pump snapped by king 10 of hearts. What can you do, mate? Got a pair. A nice little double up, and it is the first time I've done so on the trip so far. Time for a deep run. We have bled back down a bit over the next few levels to around our 20k starting stack with some uninteresting spots. We are rescued once again with another pair of aces. I open to 1600 in the cutoff, the big blind defends, and we go to a flop of 7-6-3. Not the cleanest flop, but there's a good chance my opponent has enough of a piece to be enticed into putting his last 11k on the line. So when they check, I bet 2200 and they very quickly respond by going all in. Great news for us as we snap and we get shown the pretty standard jack 6 offsuit and manage a clean run out to jump back up to our peak of 33k. Tough feel this. Soon after the aces hand, we are looking down at king jack of diamonds on the cutoff. The under the gun player opens it up to 2k at 500, 1k. Under the gun +1 calls. I call, the button calls, and the big blind calls. I thought briefly about squeezing, but I do think calling is maybe the slightly better option. Although maybe not if the flop is going to come down queen 10-9 rainbow with a diamond. An absolutely ridiculous flop to be 5-way on, and it is made even better when under the gun kicks off the betting with 3500 and the under the gun +1 player calls. I think calling is the standard play here, but under the gun has bet into 4 players after raising first to act, and it is the player that stationed us down earlier with king 10 when we had aces, so I'm banking on him making more mistakes. I end up deciding to get my megaphone now and raise to 10,500, which looks insanely strong, but I'm hoping it won't matter. Unfortunately, after the bun and the big blind fold, the undergun player folds as well, and now it seems likely we're not going to get any more money. Undergun +1 starts talking, saying he made a mistake by trapping aces pre-flop and reluctantly lets it go as well. A disappointing and probably deserved result considering my flop raise, but at least I didn't squeeze pre-flop and spring undergun +1's sneaky trap. A few more chips in the stack and we move. A pretty questionable one up next. We've got 55k at 1500, 3000 and open up to 6500 under the gun with 2 queens. The low jack, cutoff and big blind all call and the flop is 8-5-5 rainbow. Obviously barring any specific disasters, this is a pretty good flop for our queens. I have about 50k or around 17 big blinds left in my stack and there's about 30k in the middle. It's a similar-ish spot to my queens in the first main event bullet where I'd love to bet for protection, but the merits of check raising and getting it in now are just too appealing to me. So when the big blind checks, I check as well and I'm immediately punished by 2 snap checks behind me. The jack of hearts comes on the turn, bringing a backdoor flush draw and the big blind checks again. I convince myself to stick to my plan for some reason, but this time pray a little harder for a bet out of one of my opponents. It's exactly what we get as the low jack decides to bet 10,000 and the cutoff snap calls. The big blind folds and this is exactly the spot I've been trying to create for myself. And although it's been a dicey line, at least we finally get to enact the plan. I shove for 49k.
All in.
All in.
And while the low jack folds quite quickly, the cutoff is really struggling to let go of their hand. After a decent amount of time, they decide to stick in the rest with queen 9 of hearts for a gut shot and a flush draw. We could really do with fading the flush this time around, and thankfully we do hold and nearly triple up to 140k. A bit sus, but it felt really good to rake this one in, and now we are approaching the bubble in a very healthy spot. I'm starting to feel like this might be my tournament given my stack and the quality of opposition. There's 13k up top and a trophy, so that's my goal, and it's looking even more achievable as we peel back aces again. I open under the gun to 9k at 2,000, 4,000, and a similar pattern emerges with 3 calls from the low jack and the blinds. The flop is jack 3 deuce with 2 diamonds, and the blinds check to me. With only one player to act behind me who appears to be very sticky and passive, I decided to just go ahead and bet this one. Unfortunately, everyone folds really quickly, but I can't complain as we add over 30k to our stack without any drama. The blinds have moved to 3,000, 6,000, and we are sitting pretty with about 160k approaching a break. We are 5 off the money with 26 players left from a field of over 200 and a min cash of around 650 euros that I could not give less of a shit about. At this point, I'm feeling pretty good, and all I want is that trophy in 13 bags. I'm happy to find any reason to be aggressive and exert some pressure, so queen jack of clubs under the gun definitely qualifies. I open up to 12,500 and the big blind defends. The flop is 8-7-3 with 2 clubs and the big blind checks. Definitely a reasonable board for big blind, and certainly one I can consider checking. I go back and forth but lean on the side of aggression around the bubble and bet. My opponent has just under 100k back and is exactly the kind of stack size I should be able to bully. I bet 16k into 34k, and the big blind sticks it up me for his last 98k. Not what I had in mind or what I expected, but at least this time it doesn't seem like I have any choices left. The shove is about 16 big blinds, and I'll still have some chips left if I lose, so I pretty quickly call. Unfortunately, it seems my opponent has a set, which I'd consider unideal but not surprising, and we are looking for a clean club. The 5 of spades on the turn is useless, and while the 7 of clubs briefly gets my one-man rail excited, I'm left to explain to them that the board has in fact paired, and we are in fact fucked. I slump back into my chair, and now that min cash I profess not to give a shit about is looking mighty appealing. We come back off the break on the button with a measly 4 big blinds to spin up. I'm the shortest stack left, so there will be no waiting around here, especially when I'm dealt 7s on the button and the small blind hasn't made it back to his chair yet. I very happily shove, and the big blind takes a disgraceful amount of time to call with his ace-4 offsuit, almost as disgraceful as the dealer popping an ace in the window and killing off my weekend with one more dagger to the heart. I did really feel like I was going to win this one, but alas, that is tournament poker. A lot of valuable experience in the bag to take to Vegas with me and go for back-to-back min cashes. GG. Honestly, the main event is definitely more my style of tournament. It's not just the greatest poker tournament ever conceived, but because of how deep it is, it's like one long cash game which suits me down to a T. Time to dust ourselves down and prepare.
How's it going, guys? I've had some time to process my defeat in the big shot. Not quite the stone bubble, but it feels pretty bubbly. I think I played okay. Actually, you know what? I'm glad that I played it. Obviously, I didn't make any money, but I'm glad that I played it because it was a really good experience for me. It was nice to have a stack that was above starting, because in the main last year, I never had that either. So it was nice to know what it feels like to like get some chips and be like, and feel that confidence. Because when I had the chips, I was like, I'm just literally gonna win this tournament. And even when I had the queen jack all in, I was like, I'm just gonna hit a club and I'm just gonna win this tournament. And then I didn't. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm not gonna win the tournament? And then the 7s against ace 4, what are you gonna do? Anyway, I think I'm gonna sign off, guys. I've got one more day in Barcelona, which I'm just spent in the market having some food, and yeah, really nice day. So in terms of poker content, that is me done, unless I play any cash this evening or tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the ride. Sorry I didn't play better. Big shot was a little bit more interesting. I think I played some good stuff, and I had some good hands. I had a lot of aces, which is lovely. So more of that, please, in July in Vegas. Thanks everyone for coming along for the ride. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I will see you guys on the next one. We will be vlogging the main event in Las Vegas. I'll be staying in the Paris hotel, which means I can just walk downstairs. Don't have to go out in the 40-degree heat, and just walk downstairs to my table, come back up in the breaks if I want to. I'm so fucking excited to play. Bringing a few boys along with me as well for the rail if it gets serious. So yeah, stay tuned. That vlog will be with you in a few months as well. Hopefully bang it off. But yeah, all the best everyone. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye. How's everyone doing, guys? Just at the beach for the day, and I did end up playing some cash last night. So I thought I would treat you guys to a couple of hands. You're gonna love them. Maybe the worst hand I've ever played in my life. But first of all, let's set the tone. We're playing 1-3. First hand I want to talk about that sets the tone for the next hand is ace king. I have ace of spades, king of clubs. There's a button straddle. There's a fish that opens to 16. So it says 1-3 and then 6. So it opens to 16. I make it 60 on the cutoff. The fish calls. They have like 300-ish to start the hand, just over. Flop is 10-8-5, 2 spades. I have the ace of spades. They check. I decide to check back. Could definitely bet, but checking's fine. The turn is the deuce of spades. They check. I decide to bet 35 into like 135 or something like that, leaving about pot back on the river. They call. The river is a queen, offsuit queen. They check again. It's like 220 into 200, the river bet. They check, and I'm just like, well, I mean, I have the ace of spades blocker. I have an element of showdown value, but like not loads. I just think I have to shove. So, I mean, I don't love it because it is a fish. He was calling like £100 pre-flop races, the king jack offsuit. But I think he gets to the river with like some small pairs. Like if he's gonna have stuff like king jack off, then he can easily have stuff like 10-9 off, 5-4 off, you know, pocket sixes with a spade, stuff like this that should fold. So I do shove, and I get the tank call from the queen jack offsuit with a spade. Deserved. And before I get to reload or leave, I'm into another hand and I have ace king again. Okay guys, let me just be honest with you, this isn't good. And I don't know if it's just the week of not sleeping or whatever's going on, but this is probably the worst hand I've ever played in my entire life. So I have 209 euros because for the previous hand, and I haven't reloaded yet. So it's 1-3, so I have about less than 70 big blinds. I open to 9 euros under the gun. The button calls, the small blind calls, who is another random Spanish fish who's been like passive fish mainly, and then the big blind calls as well. So 4-handed to the flop, which is king 7 deuce rainbow. Checks to me, I bet 10. I'm allowed to bet this flop multi-way, it's no problem, especially like second last act. Button folds, small blind calls, the passive fish, and the big blind folds. The turn is the 9 of clubs, bringing a backdoor flush draw. I have the ace of clubs. Fish checked. I decide to bet 50 into about 55. I have about 190 left at this point, yeah? And he pretty quickly just goes all in. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'm just not used to playing short, or, you know, obviously I have to call. I was like 9-7 maybe on the flop. He was like not sure whether he wanted to call or not, so I just didn't think he had like a king X kind of hand. 9-7, obviously like deuces, sevens, nines, all possible. Maybe like some random king 9, king 7, king deuce. This guy was not folding any 2 cards in the small blind, very passive pre-flop. So I decided to fold.
You folded?
I'm recording.
Yeah, but you folded.
Yeah, I folded.
What was the action again?
I opened ace king under the gun to 9, button call, small blind call, big blind call. Flop is king 7 deuce, I bet small, it's just the small blind calls. 10s and 9 of clubs, bring the backdoor flush draw. He checks, I bet 50, and he goes all in for 190, and I fold.
So you started the hand with less than 70 big blinds after trying to bluff a guy who called 60 euros pre-flop with queen jack offsuit because blockers, and then you folded ace king on king 9-7 deuce against some random Spanish whopper playing 1-3 on a Sunday night at 1 AM with barely any reads when you legitimately beat value at this SPR, like king queen, king X of clubs, or just some random flush draw. And your reason is that no one ever bluffs this spot.
Yeah.
Did he show?
Yeah.
And what did he have?
King jack off.
You're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, so not my finest hour, guys. Clearly the worst fold I've ever made in my life. Probably won't ever make one worse if there's any consolation. Obviously can just have king queen, right? Just king X of clubs, right? I don't know what the fuck I was doing, and yeah, decided to immediately leave, which I've never done before after making a mistake. I've never made a mistake so bad that I had to immediately leave the table before. So there we go. That was it. And yeah, now I'm just on the beach trying to forget that I do this for a living. Time for me to go home with my tail between my legs, I think.